Hello, everyone. This is a restorative class, and the word I chose for our mindfulness affirmation word was surrender. So it's great for a restorative because I just want you to surrender into the poses. And if at any time, especially in our Supta Baddha Konasana or reclined goddess pose, if your groin or your legs or your hips start aching, because this can be a very deep stretch, you need to come out of it and maybe make an adjustment. We're going to have blankets under our knees so that it keeps the stretch from opening too wide. But if you're very tight, it may still be too wide. You may have to bring extra things if you're very if you're not very flexible. What you need to bring to class are at least 3 blankets, 2 blocks, 1 bolster, and if you want to experiment with some smaller pillows, I'm going to have some pillows. If you can set up by a wall, that's ideal because we're going to do a restorative version of legs up the wall. I'm just going to do mine legs on the couch because I don't really have a wall I can access in this room without moving furniture around and then moving the camera around all over the place. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this eventually. So our focus or our poses, our asanas, is going to promote a restful and a sleeping state of deep sleep, hopefully. I'm doing mine in the middle of the day here, but these poses, especially legs up the wall or legs on a chair or a couch, is especially beneficial to do before bed. Or if you have trouble sleeping in the middle of the night, you can get up and do this pose too. It's the number 1 pose to go to if you're having trouble sleeping. So I had to include that one, of course. And we're going to do a supportive version of thread the needle. If you have shoulder issues or knee issues, I'll show you an alternative way to do it. And that should take us up. We have our 3 poses: supported legs up the walls, reclined goddess pose, and thread the needle, which we'll do on each side. So, again, our word is surrender, and I'm going to read that at the beginning here. Surrender is the ability to be with what is going on rather than remaining preoccupied with what might, should, or could happen. Let go of the need to manage life and deepen into the peace and acceptance. And anytime we're doing yoga, it's always a good idea to just surrender to that. And that's why yoga relieves stress, because a lot of times when you're focusing on a pose or any kind of exercise, then your mind is not focusing on, oh, what should I be doing? What could I have done? Just be in that moment and surrender to that moment, and you'll enjoy life a lot better, 100%, because you'll be there 100%. So go ahead, and I hope you have gathered your objects up. I'm going to move my chair out of the way, and I'm going to turn this bright light off because in restorative, I don't like that light shining right on me. So our first pose is going to be reclined goddess pose or Supta Baddha Konasana, which is our bound angle pose, ever how you want to say it. So you're going to get your 2 blocks. We're going to set 1 block in front, baby bear size, the block behind it on mama bear size, and then we're going to take our bolster or a pillow or whatever you've got and set it up so that it is at an angle and supported. There we go. And then this is probably the most important part, is getting your knees elevated. And we will stay in each pose about 10 minutes. So um, You can make your blanket thicker if you're a real tight person. It could be thick like this. If you're super limber, you might want it just flat like that. I think I'm going to start with this middle one here. So I have my 2 blankets. And then I'll have to have this equal. So this blanket has to go here. And I'll use my 3rd blanket. If you want, you can cover up with it. Or I got to get my clock so I can make sure I got the time. And when I want you to come out of the pose, I will do that sound. And then that means to start kind of fluttering your eyes open, waking up. I'm going to have my eye mask on too. But don't just bounce right up out of it, because I will walk you through coming out of each pose. And when I'm ready for you to come out, I will do my little chime. Because it's just as important as getting in the pose and getting as comfortable as possible as it is coming out the right way so you don't undo everything. So you will start by getting your hips next to your bolster, or if you've got pillows or whatever. Your feet are together, the soles are touching, and then you bring your blankets in to see how much you want it. If you're really tight, like I said, go ahead and put them up really high, because the secret of restorative yoga is getting as comfortable as possible. Okay, and then I'm just going to take this blanket and throw it over me for just a little warmth. Plus, also it also can add a little bit of weight to your back, so you'll need to adjust. And this feels pretty good. I think I'm going to use this to go on my low back issues this morning, just for a little bit more support. So there. So whatever you need to figure out, because with that little gap there between the floor and the bolster, it doesn't feel so great on my low back. Okay, get in your pose and just relax. I'll see you in 10 minutes. It takes me a few minutes to really find that nice sweet spot. Total relaxation and restoration. Before you come up out of the pose, I wanted to read you the benefits. So if you're having any of the issues, you can remember this pose and come back to it. It opens the groins and the hips. That's what it's mainly for. But as I laid here for a few minutes, I felt like my chest needed open, so I actually brought my arms out further to the side for a little bit of a chest opener there. And stretching the groins and the hips can help relieve and prevent back pain and sciatica. So if you have those issues, this is a great pose to come to. I'm going to ding the bell. What I want you to do is remove your blankets and slowly raise your legs up. You can use your hands to bring them up to a pyramid. You're going to get them up there. Just simply roll over to your side and raise up. You don't have too far to come. And our next pose is going to be our legs up the wall, or I'm doing another version, legs on the couch or chair. So I hope that you got that ready. And for this one, you will just need a bolster or on your hips. You can use a blanket. I'm going to try it with the blanket. And then with your other blanket, we're going to use that as a weight over our chest and pelvic area, because that brings comfort and also it brings yeah, feeling of safety. So if you're by the wall, take your bolster or your blanket, whatever you're going to use, and you may want to try a couple of different things. And you're going to put it about from the wall or your chair or couch. We're not coming right up to it because this is restorative, remember? And the great thing about legs up the wall, this is the go-to pose if you have trouble sleeping. Do this right before bed, or even if you get up in the middle of the night and your mind is restless, this is a great pose to come to. It alleviates tired legs. It also helps to bring uh, fluid from the feet and legs back up. So if you carry fluid in your ankles or feet, this is another great pose for that. It calms your mind and your nervous system. It will help with backaches, and it softly opens the back of the legs. So if your calves are tight, this is a great pose to do for that. So go ahead and see what you're going to use, the bolster or the blanket. You're going to sit on the blanket, bring your legs either up on the wall or, in my case, to the couch. I have to decide. I tried it with the bolster earlier, but I think I'm going to try just with the blanket, so I'm not up quite so high, because I'm kind of a small person, and that raises my low back up just a little bit too high, I think. Then if you're doing it on the chair or the couch, make sure that you can have your legs at a bend and not, no, let's see. They can be like this, but just make sure that you're not bending the knees backward in a strain. So my knees are still slightly bent. I think this feels pretty comfortable, so I'm going to stay here for my legs at the wall. Let me check the time. So I'll meet you back here in about 10 to 12 minutes. We're going to do this one a little bit longer. So you can take your blanket for your grounding, your comfort, a little warmth. And I'm going to get my eye mask And then if you want to have a little bit of a neck support to open the throat area up, you can take your other blanket and make just a very small roll so that your neck is fully supported, and that opens my throat area, my thyroid. And this feels pretty good. So I'm going to start my time. I'm going to be back here in about 12 minutes. Just get really nice and comfortable to get the wrinkles out of my clothes. I hate putting on wrinkle clothing. Think about your word surrender, surrendering into the pose, just letting your mind completely relax. taking any last minute little deep breaths or wiggles. What I like to do when coming out of legs up the wall is I bring my both legs, knees into my chest. I do a little roll on the back before I get out of my pose. I'll do that with you, and then I'll move on. I hope that you completely surrender to this pose. It's so relaxing. I'm just going to roll my way back out. Again, I've already done it before I got up because I try to take my own advice. Sometimes I remember, and it's always more beneficial that way. Maybe a stretch up. We did a gentle stretch on the calf so we could do a little bit more by completely bringing the legs up in the air. And then placing both feet down on the ground. Nice big stretch side to side. And then roll over onto your sides and press yourself up. And our last pose that we're going to do, if we have time, we're not going to have time, we're just going to do our last pose, and then that will be our Shavasana also. It's a thread the needle pose, and we're going to do it restorative style. We like to be super comfy. So we're going to bring a nice padded blanket for our knee to be on. We're going to have a folded blanket, depending on your flexibility, over our feet, and you can sit back on that. If this is not in your knees or your hips, and then you'll have another blanket or a block, even if you want to be up higher, depending on how flexible you are. You may want to have the block padded with a blanket for your head. I'll show you this way first. And I'm actually going to fold that blanket twice on my knees. And just get it situated. Spread your knees apart. And we're going to take our left hand, since I'm this way, and thread it underneath. Move my block up here. That's too high for me. Move it on to the lower level. Like I said, make your adjustments so that your head can rest there. This is a nice, good stretch for the shoulders, chest opener, the neck. I will spend about 5 minutes on each side. If you're in that position and it's comfortable, stay there. If this position is not good for you, I'll show you the alternative. We're going to take our blanket, and I'm going to double fold it here. Put it between my legs, and I'm going to take a blanket up here for my head. And I'm laying on my left side. Just get that roll so your head is nice and supported. And then we're going to take our right arm and throw it out to the side. So it's like a side twist, because I'm wanting to open the chest and the neck, the lungs. So if you are not comfortable in knee position for whatever reason, just try a nice side stretch for the same purposes. I'm going to get back in my position. I hope that you're in yours. Okay, go ahead and switch sides. You can just stay with your setup the way it is and switch sides. And if you have your head on the block, if you want, I like to put my eyebrows on the edge, and it does kind of a nice massage on those sinuses up there. So I'm going to thread my right arm through, stretch my right arm over here. Start thinking about coming out of your pose. If you were with the knees on the blanket and the block under your head, you can come right up on into a tabletop. And if you chose to do where you're laying down, just roll over and press yourself up into a tabletop. We're just going to take a few moments here to kind of just stretch out. I'm doing a C curve, bringing my hips to the right, to my head to the right, and then through the center, and then hips to the left and head to the left. Maybe just a little cat-cow. And then come to a seated position. I like to sit on a blanket or a block or your bolster, whatever you have handy. My dog was snorting at the door. He loves to snort at the door, and it's windy today. So I'm sure there's lots of smells of birds or whatever flying by. So if you heard that snorting, that was him, not me. Just come up here into our nice, easy pose. And before we do our namaste, let's just think about, you should be very relaxed. Now, if you're doing this right before bed, just go ahead and switch everything off and get on into the bed. But if you're up for it, we can do our little mindfulness session. So let's rub our hands together, bringing warmth, joy, and the feeling of what it means to surrender into the moment. Press that into our heart center. And as we bow our heads, I honor the light in you and ask that you honor the light in others. Namaste. Thank you for coming, my community of yoga friends and followers. I hope that this class helped you. My low back feels better. I was having a little trouble with it this morning. I missed 2 of my swim classes. One was because I was enjoying time with the grandkids, and the other one was because I thought I had an appointment, and then when I got in the car to put the directions to it, I realized it was for tomorrow, not today. So I missed my swim class again today. That always makes me a little bit stiffer. So I will see you next week. Enjoy, and remember, whatever moment you're in, to just enjoy that moment, embrace it. And I'm going to draw a angel card. I'm going to have to starting over here. Let's see which one came up. Abundance. So next week's class will be with the mindfulness word, abundance. And I think it'll be a slow flow class. So rub our hands to, oh, I already said that part, sorry. Ta-ta for now. See you next week. Have a great night, a great day, a great week. Namaste.